In terms of global revenue, Macy's is known as one of the largest traditional department store chains in the world. The company has recently been making headlines over store closures. They are reportedly expected to shutter 65 locations by the end of January 2025. Originally, this count was 50 stores, but during a recent Q3 earnings call, net sales were $4.7 billion, which is down 2.4% from last year. We also must remember that there was a time when Macy's retired and rebranded many of the former Federated and May regional store nameplates, such as Marshall Field's, Meier Frank, and the Bon Marche. Some of these were already covered in a previous video. On today's list, we will be going over 10 more forgotten Federated May department chains that were retired by Macy's back in 2006. Now, without any further ado, let's get started.
The JCPenney parade?
Yeah, it's like the Macy's parade, only without licensed characters.
Number 10. ZCMI. ZCMI, which is short for Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution, was a chain based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, founded by none other than Brigham Young himself in 1868. The first branch store was organized by Mormon business owners who were tired of being routinely charged higher prices from wholesalers due to their religious and cultural background. By pooling their resources, they were able to make larger orders to sell materials and goods exclusively, at the time, to fellow Latter-day Saints church members. Around 1920, ZCMI began appealing to all customers, and not just church members, after expanding its merchandise to include household items, furniture, and beauty products. The chain expanded throughout the 1960s to the 1990s, peaking at a total of 13 stores. Unfortunately, in October 1999, due to losses for 2 consecutive years and economic social pressures, the chain was sold to May department stores and placed under the division of May's Portland-based Meier Frank. In 2002, ZCMI's nameplates were officially retired, and most of the stores were renamed Meier Frank, while some locations were sold to Dillard's. Number 9. Liberty House. Liberty House was founded in 1849 as Hackfeld's Dry Goods by German trader Heinrich Hackfeld in Honolulu, Hawaii. The store was renamed Liberty House in 1918, both as a response to World War I and to break the negative connection with its German roots. Liberty would expand onto the mainland with the purchase of Rhodes Western department stores in 1969. These stores were renamed Liberty House between 1971 through 1974. The mainland stores were in Arizona, California, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, and Washington. Poor results and a scattered footprint caused the mainland stores to either be sold or shuttered. In 1998, Liberty House filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and closed most of its resort stores in Hawaii. In 2001, after emerging from bankruptcy, the company was acquired by Federated Department Stores and rebranded as part of the Macy's West Division. Number 8. Bambergers. Bambergers was founded in 1893 by Louis Bamberger and his brothers-in-law, Felix Fuld and Louis M. Frank. The first store opened on Market Street at the corner of Halsey Street in Newark, New Jersey. In 1912, a flagship store opened at 131 Market Street in downtown New York and was ranked one of the nation's largest department stores. The store comprised over 1.3 million square feet and featured 200 departments over 10 floors. In June of 1929, Bambergers was purchased by R.H. Macy Co., but the chain retained its name. Between the 1960s and 1970s, the chain expanded throughout the state of New Jersey. By the 1980s, it even expanded to areas such as Baltimore, Maryland, and the greater Philadelphia metropolitan area. However, around this time, Bamberger's identity started to become further entwined with its parent company, which placed it under the Macy's Northeast Division. In 1986, all Bamberger stores were renamed Macy's, and Newark's flagship location continued its operation as a Macy's until it was closed in 1992. Number 7. Jordan Marsh. Jordan Marsh was founded by Eben Dyer Jordan in 1841. He partnered with Boston merchant Benjamin L. Marsh, and began selling linen, silk, and other dry goods from Europe to wholesale customers. By 1886, it began selling directly to the public after moving into a building at 450 Washington Street in the heart of Boston's downtown shopping district. Jordan Marsh's influence continued to grow, and they eventually became one of the founders of the New York City-based Allied Stores Corporation in 1935. In the 1940s, following World War II, the company built a new store and continued to expand throughout the 1950s and 1960s, opening branches in California and Florida. In 1986, the Canadian Campo Corporation acquired Allied Stores and reorganized the chain by merging D.M. Reed Co. of Bridgeport, Connecticut into Jordan Marsh and merging Jordan Marsh, Florida stores with Moss Brothers of Tampa, Florida as the new Moss Brothers Jordan Marsh, Florida division. Just 2 years later, Campo Corporation also acquired Federated Department Stores, which caused both Federated and Allied to file for bankruptcy reorganization, and the operations of Jordan Marsh, Florida and Moss Brothers were absorbed by Burdines in 1991. By 1996, the chain was ultimately converted into the Macy's nameplate after already being part of the Macy's East Division. Number 6. Abraham and Straus. Abraham and Straus was founded in 1865 as Weschler and Abraham. The name is derived from the two founders, Joseph Weschler and Abraham. In 1893, the Straus family bought out Joseph Weschler's share of the company and renamed the store Abraham and Straus, or A&S for short. The company joined Filene's, Lazarus, and Bloomingdale's to form Federated Department Stores. In the 1970s and 1980s, Federated gave the stores a more upscale appeal and opened more stores throughout New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. This was also accompanied by a newly updated logo. In 1994, Federated acquired Macy's, and since both Macy's and A&S competed for the same type of middle-income customer, Federated decided the lesser-known A&S brand should be eliminated in favor of Macy's. By January of 1995, it was announced that all of A&S locations would be converted to other brands. Number 5. Magnin. Magnin & Company was founded by Mary Ann Magnin and her husband, Isaac Magnin, in San Francisco. The first store opened in 1876, selling lotions and high-end clothing for infants. The store would eventually expand into bridal wear. As business grew, their exclusive clientele began to rely on them for the newest fashions from major designers, such as Jean Lanvin, Haiti Carnegie, and Christian Dior. In 1944, the chain was purchased by Los Angeles-based Bullock's department store chain, and by the late 1950s, the combined chain expanded into the Southern California suburbs. After a major turf war in 1964, Bullock and Magnin were absorbed into the Federated department stores under separate divisions. As a part of Federated, they expanded to the Chicago and Washington, D.C. areas by the 1970s. R.H. Macy & Company was looking to enter the California market and attempted to purchase Federated in 1988 while also building their own stores. They ultimately lost the takeover war to Campo Corporation, but they didn't come away without a consolation prize. As part of a settlement with Campo, Macy's purchased Bullock's and Magnin and reorganized the chain under the Macy's West Division. The 7-store Bullock's Wilshire chain was renamed Magnin by 1989. Unfortunately, the chain started to decline in 1991 when Macy's announced plans to realign its divisional structure and declared bankruptcy while doing so on January 27, 1992. Federated department stores ultimately decided to buy the company out of bankruptcy, making Macy's West Bullock's a division of Federated. Magnin was dissolved shortly before the acquisition in 1994, with 4 stores being sold to Saks Fifth Avenue and the remainder converting to specialty Macy's or Bullock stores. Number 4. Famous Barr. Famous Barr was formed in St. Louis, Missouri in 1911 by David May, founder of May Department Stores, after merging his two chains, the Famous Clothing Store and William Barr Dry Goods Co., which dated back to the late 1800s. Famous Barr was known for having the first air-conditioned department store in the country after opening its new downtown St. Louis, Missouri store in 1914. On October 8, 1948, Famous Barr opened its first branch store in Clayton, Missouri at the intersection of Forsyth and Jackson, followed by another branch store in 1955 at the Northland Shopping Center in Jennings, Missouri. It expanded by taking operational control of the L.S. Aries division in Indiana in 1991 and Jones Store in 1998. Although both stores retained their names, their headquarters were shut down. In 2005, Famous Barr was purchased by Federated Department Stores. At the same time, it purchased the May Department Stores. Like the other stores on the list, on September 9, 2006, the final Famous Barr stores were converted to Macy's nameplate. Number 3. Robinson's May. Robinson's May was created in 1993 when May Department Stores combined two of its chains, May Company California and their corporate sibling, J.W. Robinson's. May Department Stores had acquired Robinson's with its 1986 acquisition of Associated Dry Goods Corp., while May Company California had already been established in 1923. Both chains primarily operated exclusively in Southern California until 1989, when May Department Stores divided its Goldwater's department store division, based in Scottsdale, Arizona, between the two chains. At its peak, Robinson's May had as many as 50 stores operating in Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. However, in August of 2005, Federated Department Stores took control over Robinson's May after purchasing its parent company, May Department Stores. The stores were organized under the Macy's West Division, and 15 California locations were offered for sale. During 2006, the remaining locations were converted to the Macy's and Bloomingdale's nameplates. Number 2. Richway. Richway was founded in 1968 as a discount department store division of Atlanta-based Rich's. The first few locations opened in the 1970s in metro Atlanta cities such as College Park, Decatur, Sandy Springs, and Smyrna, with a location opening in Forest Park shortly after. The original locations were known for their distinctive raised wedge skylights that are still found today. Richway was considered more of an upscale discount department store that operated more like a regular department store. This was due to the stores being large for their time, with larger selections of merchandise than most discounters offered. Richway, along with parent company Rich's, was sold to Federated Department Stores in 1976. Before being acquired by Federated, Richway had opened 4 locations in the Carolinas. Federated saw the potential in Richway and started to expand the chain in Florida in 1982, since it already had a presence in the area with its ownership of Burdines. Federated also opened 2 stores in Tennessee after acquiring 2 former Gibson store locations in 1982. In 1986, Federated decided to merge Richway with their other discount division, Gold Circle, due to a new corporate strategy of no longer wanting to operate 2 discount stores separately. The following year, word began to convert all Richway stores to Gold Circle, but only a few stores received the name change, while many stores retained the Richway name. Federated was later hit with financial trouble and sold all its Richway stores to Kimco, which then sold the stores to Dayton Hudson Corporation, now Target Corporation. In 1988, the stores were closed, remodeled, and reopened as Target stores in 1989. Number 1. Hecht's. The Hecht Company was founded by Sam Hecht Jr. in 1857. It started as a used furniture store in Baltimore, Maryland, and by 1870, it became a full-line department store. It entered the Washington market in 1896 and debuted with the Grand Glass and Marble store at 7th and F Streets. Notably, Hecht's was the first store in Washington to offer national brands, a parking garage, and an elevator. The chain began its expansion into the suburbs suburbs of Baltimore and Washington in the 1950s. The chain was eventually acquired by the May Company in 1959. Under the ownership of May Company, many other stores were acquired and rebranded as Hecht's, including 4 Miller and Road stores in Virginia during the 1990s, as well as the Thalhimer chain, which was also folded under the Hecht's name. More stores were acquired throughout the late 90s, such as Wanamaker's, Woodward and Lothrop, and Strawbridge's, which retained its name. At its peak in 2005, there were 81 stores under Hecht's name in 19 markets. However, shortly afterward, the chain was also acquired by Federated. In September 2006, Hecht's name was phased out in favor of Macy's, making the end of the chain. Well, this brings us to the end of our list today. Let me know in the comments below if you know of any other former Macy's nameplates, or if you are surprised by the upcoming store closures announced for the chain. See you next time!